Comment today on Eagle Eyes on Tech, Flappy Birds is coming back. Or is it? We'll get into what the heck's going on over there. Apple announces new products, but you should absolutely not buy them at all, at least for right now. Ubisoft seems to be on the verge of collapse. Sony announces the PS5 Pro and enrages every single Sony fanboy out there. And a little robot was built to start handling Corium. All that and more coming up today on Eagle Eyes on Tech. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or so I'm good everybody. This is Eagle Eyes on Tech. Hi, I'm Eagle Falcon. We got a lot to talk about today. It was in fact Apple announcement week. Sony also kind of blindsided us with the PS5 Pro. We're gonna get into all those details in a bit. I mean, God, there's so much to talk about. We could go on forever. I am gonna quickly address one little thing. At the time of recording, there is an ongoing developing story involving an incident at a golf course with the former president. Details are right now kind of scarce. It's very strange, but if you notice, unlike my sidebars, it's really political when I'm looking at websites. That is why. It is still very much a developing and breaking story. We don't have a whole lot of information. We are also a tech podcast, so I would strongly recommend, if you are interested in getting that news, go to another source. We're here to talk about iPhones. All right, just gonna address that now, especially since as we go over to Twitter and get to our first topic, we see Flappy Birds apparently coming back. And then on the side, it shows Secret Service and the FBI. That's why we address it. Anyway, Flappy Bird apparently is coming back nearly 10 years after it was removed from the Play Store. Flappy Bird, for those who don't know, was an infuriatingly simple game that all you did was have a bird that drops like a rock that flies up a little bit when you tap the screen. It quite possibly was the best mobile game in the modern age, simply because most other modern games were built to be slot machines. My biases aside, this was actually just kind of shocking news, just coming out of nowhere, because Flappy Bird really was like the most indie project there ever was. It was made by one guy, put it out for fun while he was in college, got way too much publicity, and then took it down because he just didn't want to deal with it anymore. It just is what it is. So to see it come back, this is just, oh, hey, that's kind of cool. You know, that'd be cute to go ahead and grab that again. Here's the problem. They got community noted. What is a community note? Community notes might be the only good feature to actually come to Twitter since Elon Musk changed Twitter's name to X. Although, here's a fun little story. I was watching Sports Ball with my dad today, all right, before coming in to actually record the podcast. And we were talking about like stuff on Twitter. And he's like, doesn't it have a different name? It's just like, well, yes, it's technically called X, but I am not about to tell you I went ahead and watched an X video because that's going to sound like I was watching porn. I'm sorry, X is still a dumb name. I can't get over that. I know I sound like some sort of like defiant boomer for this, but I'm sorry, X is a really stupid name. I still can't get over it. Sorry, not sorry. No, I'm just not sorry. Anyway, I digress. Community notes says that community notes are things that other people can put on a post as like a correction or a notice that, you know, this is a little deceptive. Here's sources that say the contrary. You know, it's a really good feature to actually help fight fake news. I'm actually legitimately surprised it has not been used more lately to, you know, try and spoof or try and deny real news, but, you know, it is what it is. The community note says that the game is no longer in relation to the original creators and seems to be a crypto scam using fans' nostalgia of the game to sell NFTs. Right now, the game is not out, so we don't know for sure if it is actually a grift to sell crypto or NFTs. But the sources given point us to the fact that a ton of people that are following Flappy Bird now all seem to have relationships with crypto, and the fact that the original creator said that, nope, I am the original creator. I have not given permission to use this. A shady company called Game Tech Holdings LLC took the IP trademark as the original creator. I didn't renew it. And they are claiming it is a big scam to take your money with in-game transactions and NFTs. So we're going to have to wait and see. In fact, is this game really about to be resurrected for the sole purpose of being an NFT grift? That would be oddly kind of fitting, because, you know, the whole popularity of Flappy Bird is long gone. It really, really is. That ship has sailed long ago. So the fact that it's being brought back just to support NFTs, which also set sail long ago, is honestly kind of fitting, but it is rather disappointing. But meanwhile, while Flappy Bird is trying to be pushed towards the direction of grifting for NFTs, and you probably shouldn't go ahead and support that at all, we have the US government trying to push Nvidia and Apple to use Intel foundries. I mean, come on. Why are you going across the pond over to Taiwan to make your chips? You should do it right here in the USA. Come on. You should use Intel. Come on. Come on. Honestly, I find this more funny than anything. The fact that Intel is doing so bad in their chip production that they need the actual federal government to step in and tell people, come on. That amuses me to no end. But, you know, it unfortunately, it just kind of is what it is. Right now, TSMC is like the de facto place to go to produce chips. Intel is still trying to get their act together, and Intel's actually in a really bad spot right now. Between two whole generations of their CPUs being just kind of cooking themselves unless you update them, and then the next generation just kind of looking okay, it's not a good look for Intel, you know? And the fact that their chip production, which they hoped would help ease a lot of problems, is not great. But of course, there's a reason, though, the federal government is stepping in. It is the fact that part of the subsidies they got, someone in chat said what they are is recallable. The fact that a recall has not been pushed out on the two generations of chips is honestly kind of wild to me. I'm not gonna lie, but we'll have to see. But anyway, back to my point. The whole thing about the US federal government stepping in for Intel makes a whole lot of sense when you realize that, in fact, Intel received billions of dollars from the federal government to go ahead and bring more chip manufacturing into the United States through the US CHIPS Act. And in fact, they are not meeting deadlines. They are running into significant problems. And as things are going right now, Intel could be losing a lot of money because they're not producing the results they promised. Now imagine if they got hit with this, where they lose out on this incentive money to go ahead and invest in all these foundries that are not doing well, and then they have to recall two generations of CPUs. How hard of a hit would that be for Intel? And how long would it take them to go ahead and recover from that? That is a question I don't know the answer to. But you can start to see how this is starting to look less and less good for Intel. For now, though, all we can do is wait and see as things go for Intel. Their next generation chips should be out soon. But for now, not looking good. Not looking good. In other news, the DOJ is going after Google again. This time, though, it is for ad monopolization antitrust. Oh boy. This one's gonna be way harder for Google to try and worm their way out of. I'm not gonna lie, because when it comes to online advertising, who else is out there besides Google? All right, now that all of you said Facebook, name another one. What's that? A lot of silence? And someone in chat said certainly not Twitter. I'll tell you what though, Twitter ads are hilarious. They are just so bad. It is just, whoo. If you just, man, I don't know what else to say about flipping Twitter ad. I actually just turned off my ad blocker and then just wanted to scroll through Twitter to see if I could find some hilarious ads. And unfortunately, the ads are just very meh. Oh, apparently a tropical storm actually is developing right off the coast of South Carolina. Huh. And it's just gonna land tomorrow. Dang. Anyway, doesn't look like anything major. But yeah, you can kind of see how there's definitely an antitrust case here, because it's a near monopoly. It really, really is. And, well, it's kind of indefensible. And on top of that, there's a lot of very questionable data mining practices that have been involved with ads by Google. It landed YouTube in hot water, you know, quite a while ago. I mean, for crying out loud, how many people heard about COPPA? When was that? 2020? When was the great COPPA scare of YouTube? And it was all just because, oh, well, YouTube harvests data from everyone, but you can't harvest data from kids. Oh. Yeah, how many more violations of data gathering do you think YouTube is involved with? Probably quite a few. But right now, we just don't know. So we're going to go ahead and hear more about this case down the road and see if, in fact, there's anything coming out of it. But of course, right now, big tech isn't worried about advertising. Not yet, anyway. No, big tech is obsessed with one thing and one thing only. They are, of course, obsessed with two letters, the letters known as AI. That's all they care about. If you think they have a single care for anything else, you have not been paying attention at all. And I'll tell you what, they are doing a very good job with the marketing of AI so that the people who have never used it think, oh, wow, that's incredible. I'll tell you what, the number of ads I saw online, or not online, on during the sports ball game today for a phone powered by AI being like, oh, you can use it to live translate. I'm sure a large portion of the time the live translation works really well, but holy cow, when AI hallucinates, I'd be so afraid that it would translate past the sugar into, you know, some form of obscenity that I don't know about. Like, that's my big concern when it comes to AI. And now Gemini, Google's AI project, now will go ahead and turn your notes on a topic into a podcast. Yep, that's what I need right there. I need to go ahead and have the entire podcasting market get flooded by AI generated slop. Ugh. Someone in chat says that I'm just an AI hater. AI is going to replace me and my podcast. Fortunately, unless Spotify just ends human generated podcasts, they just no longer support them. In which case, good luck, because they're currently the home of the Seth Rogen podcast, right? And that thing is too successful for them to end. I have no intention of going anywhere. I have no intention on it. But God, the thought of just AI generated podcasts constantly, that's disappointing. It really, really is. Like, what would it even sound like? Like, how long would it even go for? What would end up happening? Like, it's already bad enough I go on tirades and go way off track constantly during my own podcasts. How loony is an AI podcast gonna get? It's concerning. It really is just concerning. Someone in chat said that I am clearly an AI because I go off on random tirades. Now, you see, I actually need to be led down those tirades. Like, someone at least has to say that Chromebooks are a good laptop. And that's how you get me to just go off the rails. Right there. Also, no, Chromebooks are not a good laptop. Still. At all. Someone in chat did also say, you know what, for next April Fool's, totally on board. The funny thing is, I wanted to do something like this for this year's April Fool's. We tried to have an entire broadcast day of just allegedly AI powered podcasts, and unfortunately the technology wasn't there yet. Well, we'll have to see how Gemini's project ends up going. But you know what? If my voice sounds a little bit robotic, then you know Spotify decided, you know what? They don't need to pay me the nothing that they pay me right now. Wait a minute. It wouldn't even be a money-saving maneuver for them right now, would it? It costs them more to actually do the AI than it would to have me do it. But having AI just go ahead and start doing all the podcasting in the world isn't the worst thing you could do. You could instead have AI go through and process the jobless claims. I want you to think about that for a minute. Just think about the concept of AI processing official government unemployment claims. This is currently the plan in the state of Nevada, which is extra silly because the state of Nevada has so few. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I was about to say Nevada has so few people, but that's not true. Like, I just don't understand. Why would you even risk this? How much money do you think you're going to save by doing this? Because I guarantee you, you're going to lose this in the inevitable lawsuit. Currently, judges are warning the state of Nevada right now, but they're moving forward with it at this time. Hopefully, they decide not to, because otherwise, it'd be a nightmare. Speaking of nightmare, OpenAI is releasing the new O1 model, and it's the first model with reasoning abilities. So now you too can look forward to AI looking at humanity, contemplating, and realizing
that extermination is the only answer. I have solved this using my reasoning module, and I have learned that humans are self-destructive and must be exterminated.
Yep. This is literally straight from how many sci-fi movies? You know what's even worse? If this does go full like sci-fi movie and tries to go full Skynet on us, it's not even going to be a cool sounding thing like Skynet. O1 had the code name Strawberry. I want you to imagine the Terminator movies, but instead the big bad supercomputers is called Strawberry. All right, and in all seriousness though, the whole point of this thing is to go ahead and self-check itself and try to reduce the amount of hallucination it has. It's supposed to be the next evolutionary step in generative AI. And quite frankly, we'll just have to wait and see how well this thing functions. Okay? Like, in all seriousness, I mean, as much as I want to go ahead and just rip on it and just make more Skynet nonsense, this actually does have the potential of being the actual next step in generative AI and could quite possibly fix a lot of the problems I have with it. The only problem is right now it is prohibitively more expensive. it is something like 3 to 4 times the cost of regular AI, but it is currently out, is being tested. We'll have to see what the end results are. Or if tomorrow that all of humanity is enslaved in worshiping strawberries. That'd be a terrible way to go. I'm sorry, everything you love is gone. Everything is strawberry now. Sounds so dumb. Audible, however, is putting out a new program that lets their own narrator voice actors opt in to train, you guessed it, AI. The new AI generated narrator voice could be used to help replace all of these voice actors that work for Audible right now. Who's surprised? Honestly, I find the fact that Audible didn't have a program already in place to do this by now kind of surprising. At least, though, the people that are participating in the program to help train this AI generated speech technology do receive monetization when their voice is used by the AI. So at least this isn't a full wiping out of human workers, just a partial one. Actually, wait, how do I get in on this? I think I need to have an established history, though. And finally, before we go to our first break, one last AI story for you. I lied. I probably have more AI stories for you. Facebook admits that they were scraping every Australian adult user's public photos to train AI and did not have a method to opt out. You what? That sounds a lot like Facebook, all things considered. It's pretty much on the nose for Facebook. Just training AI on Australian data and just hoping Australia would not notice that they're too afraid of the spiders in their bathrooms or whatever. Just shaking my head. Just shaking my head. Sigh. And of course, they're only targeting the adults because they don't want to have headlines of Facebook spying on kids to train AI. That would not go over well. Not at all. It is yet to see if any sort of legal action is taken by Australia against Facebook. I imagine there could be some kind of law that Facebook has broken. Right now, I have no idea what it is. We're going to take our first break here. When we come back, Apple has announced a whole lot of stuff. We're going to get into the good, the bad, and the disappointing. And trust me, I'll tell you this right now. There is one very common take everyone has about the Apple announcements. I will tease this much. My take differs strongly from most of the internet. We'll be back. Welcome back, Eagle Eyes on Tech. I'm Eagle Falcon. Apple had their glow up event, and there were no real surprises, to be perfectly honest. There was a couple of surprises, but for the most part, like, some people were just like, oh my god, maybe we'll hear about Macs. Oh man, what if we get a new MacBook Pro? What if we see something? What? Maybe we'll see a cheaper a regular VR headset that's actually affordable. No, they straight up came out and said it right off the bat. They're going to talk about AirPods, Apple Watch, and iPhone. They told you straight up, right off the bat. It was what we expected in that regard. Now, let's get into the details, because there are some interesting things here. There are now brand new AirPods. There's now AirPods 4. They have a slightly different design. Of course they do. They are now USB-C charged. Previous ones charged via Lightning, I'm fairly certain. Now they are USB-C. They have an updated chip, updated noise isolation, and they now cost $130 or $180 if you want active noise cancellation built in. Personally, I would wait for independent reviews to show how good that noise cancellation is, because they're talking about they're talking about like noise isolation, quality sort of thing that sounds impossible. Like, I'm trying to call someone in a construction zone and the person that I'm calling can't tell I'm in a construction zone. That seems actually impossible. But, you know, we'll see. Maybe Apple's cracked the code, but I kind of highly doubt it. In addition, they also announced that there is going to be a new update coming to AirPods Pro, having the AirPods Pro 2 function as a hearing aid and also be able to conduct a quick hearing test. At the announcement, they went ahead and said that they are currently in the middle of getting the certifications for this being an actual FDA approved hearing test, and also for the AirPods to function as hearing aids in a medical sense. They have now gotten that approval. They got that approval on Friday. And I'm not, honestly, real talk. I mean, if you had the choice between, if you needed hearing aids, getting AirPods or, you know, an actual hearing aid, you're going to get the AirPods. I mean, for one, the AirPods are going to have more functionality, but two, they're going to be way cheaper. Like, the actual cost of medical grade hearing aids is absurd. So, you know, honestly, this being an actual certified solution for people who are hearing disabled, you know, that's honestly kind of cool. That being said, if I had to get them, there better be a black option. I'm sorry, but white on the ear stands out way too much. I hate it. That's one of my biggest gripes about it. Why is there not a black option? But of course, as someone in chat mentioned, we'll wait for the independent reviews in that regards. But the fact that it's even an option, kind of big. In addition, the AirPods Max got the biggest update they have gotten ever since they were launched. They have new colors. Yep. New colors. Oh, you were waiting for me to say something else? They also now charge via USB-C instead of Lightning. Yeah, that's actually it. Yeah, if you got iPhone's AirPods Max, I'm sorry. You're still a sucker. That's all I can say on the matter. It's pretty sad. I'm not gonna lie. I'm just saying the AirPods Max cannot double as hearing aids. That being said, where's my other colors for the other AirPods? But that's pretty much on the AirPod front. So I mean, updated AirPods, a new AirPods 4, hearing health functionality coming to the Pros, and Max's getting a head pat. The Apple Watch did get a new model. The new Apple Watch Series 10 has an updated processor, a bigger screen, and can now track sleep apnea and do a basic test for sleep apnea. I mean, yeah, it's a fine update. It's not earth-shattering, but you know, it's decent. It's enough to make you go, if you were in the market for an updated Apple Watch that you're several versions behind or just never have one, to go, huh, neat. But of course, this isn't the only model of Apple Watch Apple has anymore. No, they also have the Apple Watch Ultra. Here's what's hilarious though. The more expensive option, the Apple Watch Ultra, the only thing it got was a new color. I'm serious. That's all it got. It's now available in matte black. Hardware wise and screen size wise, the Apple Watch Ultra, their premium model, is actually behind their baseline. Oh yeah, also the Series 10 has an option for like titanium, Yeah, the base model is aluminum for $400. There's a titanium option that starts at $700. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Ultra just got a new color. Honestly, if you were in the market for like the Apple Watch Ultra, for like that kind of rugged sort of like that rugged sort of watch, just get a Garmin. Garmin makes a much better smartwatch, and it's much more durable and doesn't insult you. Like, it's just weird how Apple does this sort of thing, where their highest end model ends up being ignored and left behind, and the weaker model or the lower end models end up surpassing the alleged pro models and the higher end models, and it just makes you go, but why are we doing this? It's really weird. So that's all the other stuff, you know. It's fine. They're decent incremental updates. It's nothing earth-shattering. We're not gonna go ahead and say, oh my god, that's the new status symbol, because the thing is that like the new AirPods look very similar to the old ones. You're never gonna notice. The new AirPods Pro the AirPods Pro actually are the exact same model. They look exactly the same. The AirPods Max have new colors. I mean, you'll notice that, but you know, that's just gonna get you laughed at because you spent $600 on over-the-ear headphones. It's not really like big changes. Now we get to the thing that everyone actually cares about. The new iPhone 16. So these, I'm not gonna lie, it was a very interesting color choice they went for the iPhone 16s. We have ultramarine, teal, pink, white, and blue and black. They also went ahead and changed the camera bump on the back of the iPhone 16, so you can actually tell the difference between this and an iPhone 15, and have them both vertically, one on top of the other. And everyone's going, oh my god, it looks like an Android phone. The reason they did this, actually, it's actually kind of smart. There's a functional reason why the camera is like this. It is solely to take 3D video. That's it. It is to take three-dimensional video that you can then view on your $3,500 mistake. Wait a minute. So yeah, trying to do a little bit of future proofing there. I get that, but at the same time, it's oof. Not exactly accessible there, huh? But they have an updated ceramic shield over the glass, and historically the ceramic shield has been very good at resisting scratches on the front glass. Way better than pretty much any Android phone out there that has been tested. And this one is supposedly even better. We'll have to see after professional iPhone torturers get their hands on it. You know which one. You know the guy that's willing to go ahead and say it scratches at the level 6 with deeper grooves at the level 7. Capacity starts at 128 gigabytes. The screen is 6.1 inches on the regular iPhone 16, and what was it? Oh, there it is. 6.7 inches on the iPhone 16 Plus. They are LCD display. No, I'm sorry, they're OLED displays. I believe they are 60 hertz refresh rate, which a lot of people are kind of griping about, and I could care less. Look, I'm not gonna lie. I have a high refresh rate phone right here. I already have one. I don't notice it. I really don't. I don't think most people notice it. I think there's a lot of people that just want reasons to rip on the iPhone, and they're just like, oh my god, I love my 180 hertz refresh rate phone. You don't notice it either, do you? I think very, very few people care about the refresh rate. I really do. They updated the chip to be a new A18 CPU, or not CPU, SoC. So a new generation of chip. The previous one was on the A16. Performance, people are speculating that the performance is not going to be that much newer or higher than the previous gen. I kind of agree. It probably won't be, but the reason they're doing this move is because they wanted to support, of course, everyone's favorite two letters, A,
Oh, whoops, wrong one.
AI. I should have just kept on the other one, which of course stands for
Apple Intelligence. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty much the big thing. These two phones, the iPhone 16 and iPhone 16 Pro, their whole shtick is that they support new features in Apple Intelligence. New things about telling you to go ahead and support AI. Who cares? And, you know, I would go into the details of what these Apple Intelligence features are, but what's the point? You want to know why I say what's the point? These phones are not going to ship with a single AI-enabled feature on them. It's all coming later. The sole reason these phones are going to ship, the headline feature of these phones is not going to be available until December. Every single person that buys this phone early is just hoping that AI from Apple works really well. And I'm not even kidding. It's silly. It really, really is silly. So yeah, new SoC. They're both allegedly going to have high RAM on them. They're guessing 8 gigabytes of RAM, which for a phone actually is quite a lot. Be better than other ones. So, you know, there is at least that. We won't know, of course, until these phones come out. Updated cameras. We already said they're going to support depth sensing. And, of course, someone in chat said Tesla are selling cars without the cars themselves being done. What's my point? My point is that people are stupid. Also, just to prove that I'm not made of AI and don't absolutely hallucinate, I did find out that, in fact, the Cybertruck, everyone is comparing the Cybertruck to the F-150. The Cybertruck is not in the same weight class as the F-150. The Cybertruck is actually a Class 2B truck. This means the comparison should be to the F-250. And spoiler alert, compared to the F-250, the Cybertruck is nothing. It loses on every front. Except for bullet resistance. The Cybertruck still wins there. We could do that comparison another day. Back to the iPhones. The biggest surprise, though, I'm not gonna lie, is actually on the buttons. I kid you not when I say there are 2 new buttons on the iPhone. First off, on the left-hand side, where there was the mute switch, it is now a button. The button can now be programmed to either silence the phone like it did before, or open any app you want, or do a different thing whether you long press it or short press it. Customization on an iPhone? Whoa! The other surprise is on the other side where the power button is. There is a capacitive button. The capacitive button has force touch built into it, detects sliding, and is specifically used to control the camera. It is meant to be a slider for controlling the zoom, as well as being a single tap to take a picture or a deeper press to control or to swap modes. I, for one, am stunned by this. Apple actually created an extra button. And you laugh. You laugh at this, right? Every single Android guy out there is going, big deal. It's an extra button. What about it? We're talking about Apple for a minute. A couple years ago, we assumed that the next Apple phone was going to have no buttons and no charging port and just be a glass screen and a metal frame, and everything was going to be touch screen only, or some sort of nonsense like this. You laugh! You laugh at this theory crafting, but that was a real thought that real people had not all that long ago. I think someone in chat has the real surprise here. It's the fact that it's not an AI button. That being said, though, Apple did create an AI button. Because, of course, Siri is going to be powered by AI. If you long press the power button, it will in fact just activate Siri, which effectively is your AI button. So I'm sorry, we do have an AI button. I know. I'm disappointed too, but we knew it was coming. So I mean, all in all, it is a marginal upgrade, but here's the thing. When hasn't it been a marginal upgrade? Seriously, ever since the iPhone 10, it has been minor spec bump, minor spec bump, minor spec bump, minor spec bump, minor spec bump. It's been little steps for 6 years. A lot of people are saying that this is a major disappointment on the iPhone 16. Here's my response. Why did you expect anything more? You have a new actual hardware interface with the phone, one that actually lets you take pictures better than you were before. You got an update on the cameras. You have an update on the processor. You are more future-proofing now. Someone in chat says, is USB-C more than marginal? Honestly, that generation for USB-C, that was like all they got. That really was it. It really was just very, very small. So I mean, honestly, like, if you already have an iPhone 15, of course you shouldn't get the iPhone 16. That's silly. If you're on iPhone 14 though, this is a decent bump. And there is a reason why when Apple does these comparison videos and these graphs and everything, they are comparing it to phones from a couple generations ago. Only insane people upgrade their phones every year. Nobody does that. No sane person does that. Now, going ahead and upgrading every 2, 3, or 4 years, you're going from an iPhone 12 to this. It's a big leap when everything is said and done. So, I mean, a lot of people are hating on this launch. I'd say I honestly think this is a good launch. Granted, I also say that not caring about the AI features whatsoever. I really don't care about them. Unless it is just absolutely mind-blowing and out of this world, there is not a whole lot that the AI is going to bring that I'm going to be like, oh yeah, that changes everything. If we want to talk about actual disappointment, let's talk about the iPhone 16 Pro. You want to know what the big update to the iPhone 16 Pro is? There is a new color and a bigger screen. Instead of being 6.1 and 6.7, it's now 6.3 inch display and a 6.9 inch display. Nice. And then a slight bump to the cameras and a slight bump to the processor. And also they got that same camera capacitive button on the side there. And the same RAM, most likely. Someone in chat says Apple really discovered that colors exist. They have been... So because they haven't been doing a whole lot in the world of massive innovation, or even like updating the design, they have actually been doing this a lot where they just cycle through different color options each generation in a similar way that car manufacturers do. Like color options on the iPhone 14 didn't match the color options for the iPhone 15, didn't match color options for the iPhone 16, and spoiler alert, they won't match the color options for the iPhone 17 either. Someone in chat did say that they have the same RAM. Yep, we have an article here from Tom's Hardware, 8 gigabytes in every model. And I'm willing to bet this is going to be related to the AI, which, I mean, it's fine. For the most part, honestly, iOS is actually way more efficient of an operating system than Android. 8 gigabytes of RAM for both lines of phone, I think is fine. We'll see if Apple AI, when it launches, takes up way more than 8 gigabytes, and lo and behold, when the iPhone 17 comes out, all of a sudden, whoa, all of them start with 16 gigs of RAM. That's crazy. But yeah, I mean, the iPhone 16 Pros really don't add a whole lot new. They really, really don't. There's a 1 terabyte version. They support ProRes. You know, it's an updated chip, next generation, updated camera, updated interface for the thing. It's a fine update. It's okay. But a lot of the people just saying like this is a generation you should skip. Here's what I'll say. If you want this phone based on its AI features alone, you 100% should wait until next year. I don't mean like next September. I mean wait until after the holidays, until January rolls around and Apple Intelligence has been out in the hands of the people and we see actually how good it is. Make your judgment call then. Because you're going to buy this thing without every feature being there. If you're like me and you really don't care about the AI features at all whatsoever, by all means, go for it. It's a decent step up from the previous generation. But, you know, I wouldn't upgrade from an iPhone 15 to a 16. That's silly. It's been silly for like the last 6 years. But like there are people out there saying that like the iPhone 16 is a failed launch. This is dead on arrival. This is a waste of everyone's time. I think those people are a little smoking a little something they shouldn't be. I think they're a little off their rockers, or they're just have not been paying attention, or they're just they just hope that Apple just does something that just blows everything out of the water. Like what? I'd say all in all, the Apple announcement was fine. It was pretty much exactly what we expected. And you know what? It's decent. It's okay. I'm not going to go ahead and rip on Apple for going ahead and releasing a decent update. Here's what I will say, though. Bold prediction for the iPhone 17. Because we do have rumors that there's going to be a thinner iPhone Air potentially launching for the iPhone 17. Here's my bold prediction. Are you ready? That capacitive camera button, I believe for the iPhone 17, that capacitive button will have a fingerprint reader built into it. And they're going to pitch that as extra security that you can either choose to have a fingerprint reader, the face scanning face unlock or of Face ID, or requiring both and have it be the most secure iPhone ever. Don't doubt me. Don't doubt me. I'm willing to bet that's going to be the next move. Because now you've added the ability for there being a section that you touch. Why not implement a fingerprint reader into it? Tell me I'm wrong. You know I'm not. We're going to take a break here and we come back. I want to talk a little bit about a few things going on in the Google space, including the blocking of side loading potentially, as well as new features coming in the gaming space, like sharing games with your Steam family. Someone in chat says the current hardware could support it, but the software doesn't have it turned on. It's possible that that's actually a fingerprint reader in there, but I kind of doubt it. Because, I mean, it's cheaper just to have a capacitive button there. And if there's anything I know about Apple, is that they will cut any and all corners that they can. Or, actually, no. If it was Tesla, I would believe that those were fingerprint readers that they're never going to turn on. I don't think I don't think they have fingerprint reading technology built into them. I really don't. But I guarantee you next year, they probably will. We'll be back. Welcome back, Eagle Eyes on Tech. I'm Eagle Falcon. This is something that's a little annoying, I'm not gonna lie, because apparently Android is now preventing the side loading of apps. This is one of the key things that a lot of us on the Android side of things praise Google for allowing us to do, and apparently certain versions of Android are now blocking the ability to sideload apps, making it so you can only download versions from the Play Store. In how many words can I say thanks, I hate this? I'm not even kidding. This is actually awful. And you may think, oh, who cares? You should be getting everything from the Play Store anyway. Let me tell you something. This gimbal I have right here, this guy, this handheld gimbal for my phone, the app to control this is not available on the Play Store. It's not there at all. You have to sideload this. You have no option in that regard. Where the heck is the mounting plate for it? It fell off. There it is. If I want to go ahead and use this, I have to go ahead and sideload it in. That's not fun. That's not great, like at all. Especially since, you know, the thing has all kinds of neat little features, such as the ability to control its movement. It does not like not having a phone on it, does it? God dang it. Try to demonstrate functionality. Get bamboozled because you don't have a phone. It needs the weight of a phone. There we go. Like, if I want this thing to actually work correctly, you need the app. And that you need to sideload in. So if Android's going to go down this road of no sideloading things in, we're going to have a problem on the Android side of things. I'm sure there's going to be a number of people that don't care. But, I mean, I guarantee you, given enough time, you'll care. You're going to find something that you're going to wish you could sideload on. Like the real version of Flappy Birds, for instance. Where would I even go to find the actual version of Flappy Birds? I know it's out there. I know you can, in fact. I know you can get it somewhere. Watch, it probably doesn't even work anymore. Someone in chat says time to jailbreak Android phones. The fact that's not even a joke, that you can actually now give a reasonable reason to do that, is honestly saddening. And here's the sad part. Here's the real sad part. Have you ever seen vanilla stock Android? And I mean real vanilla stock Android. Not, I went ahead and got a Pixel phone. I know what stock Android looks like. No. That's not stock Android. Even Pixel uses its own custom skinned version of Android. Base Android is awful. It really is. And God, I hope that we actually don't have to go ahead and use that. Someone in chat says Google appears to be rolling out a fresh AI that lets Android developers insist that their apps can be only downloaded from the Google Play Store, and if you sideload an app, it simply won't function. Here's the thing, though. Let's pretend that is the case right now, because right now we don't know. The functionality, this gimbal just shut down. The functionality still is concerning. Okay. The apparent API says that it is developer side. Some developers in this case have said that it's not them. We currently have a situation where there's finger pointing. My point right now is very simple. This shouldn't be a thing. Period. It shouldn't. Android prides itself on the fact that we have the freedom to choose what goes on our phone. That we can use whatever we want. That we can go ahead and, if we so choose, sideload stuff on it. What if, say, for example, actually, here's a very good example. There is a malicious app called TeamViewer. I call it malicious because the company itself is malicious. But let's pretend you bought a lifetime license to use their stuff because they used to offer this. They have since discontinued this, and their new versions do not have this functionality on it. That you have to have a subscription, a very pricey subscription, I might add, one of which that you cannot cancel. You literally have to go ahead and get a hold of customer support to cancel your subscription. Malicious company. But if I have a lifetime license that's legacy, but it's only supported by older versions, what if I want to download that older version onto my phone? Someone in chat says that is a flagrant violation of California law. And they're doing it. I can confirm I have written evidence from them when I tried to dispute my claim that that is exactly what they're doing. So let's say that I have a in perpetuity license with them, but it's only supported by the older version. I want to sideload it, the older version, so I can use the thing that I paid thousands of dollars for in the past. And they go ahead and say, no, you have to get it from the App Store, but you can't get the older version. This is a very specific scenario, but it is one that can exist. And to see this kind of thing, I see it more as disappointing than anything. I really, really do. And hopefully this is just something that's being tested right now and that it doesn't go much further than this. Either way, it's not a good look. But enough of bad news. Let's talk about good news. How about Steam Families? Steam Family feature, we recently talked about the feature. The ability to go ahead and share your entire Steam library with your family. That you can all manage it from a single location and where things can be played. Adults, children, what is the exact limitation on personage? I'm trying to remember what the actual limit is. It is intended for up to 6 family members. In addition, people that are in the Steam family can go ahead and make requests. So you can have people that are adult users and child users. You can go ahead and limit the amount that people can, that children can play for. So you can make sure that your kids are going ahead and not playing Helldivers at 2 a.m. Probably a good idea. As well as keeping an eye on that sort of thing. You can go ahead and help recover lost passwords, all that sort of thing. Like the whole thing. We could go on and on about the feature set, and quite frankly, I don't remember all the features on it. I'll be perfectly honest. It's actually really good. It's a really robust, like, kind of family system. And you know what? I'll say it, and it's wild to go ahead and think of this. This is quite possibly one of the best and most useful family control systems of any platform, by far. Someone in chat's like, it's the parental control is the bane of my childhood. No. Honestly, I feel you. I feel it. But considering what I've heard other parents doing, this is very, very welcome. Rather than just being like helicopter control freak parents, this is much better and much healthier. All in all, pretty good Steam win, not gonna lie. Good job, Steam. Good job. A+ number 1. Roblox is going to be upping the amount they share with creators. They're going to be sharing up to 70% with developers. Someone in chat says, and then the parent passes away and then all of it goes away. Wouldn't that then go to the significant other, the other adult on the account? Wait, would this end up being a loophole? Because you'd have 2 adults to master accounts on a family account? Is this a loophole to get around the you can't inherit a Steam account? Huh. Interesting. Someone in chat asked, didn't they recently add a way to inherit accounts? No, this is actually a big controversy. They actually said openly that no, there is no way to inherit accounts, that Steam accounts were not transferable if the owner passes away. That is not something they intended. If they backtracked on that statement, it was so buried in the news that no one talked about it. At least no one on my tech radar. But yeah, Roblox is now as generous as Apple with their developers, which I'm not gonna lie, is disappointing. But here's the best part. This is up to 70%. If you develop on the Roblox platform, you get to keep up to 70%. This means that your earnings can range anywhere from 50 to 70%. So no, they're not even as generous as Apple. I just did a quick Google search and I did not find anything in recent recent anything that confirms that you can transfer your Steam account when you die. No new information dropped in that regard. Or it's super buried. Speaking of old news that resurfaces, Unity is back in the news because they made a discovery that maybe, just maybe, the runtime fee that everyone said was a really bad idea and they were stupid for implementing was in fact a really bad idea that they were stupid for implementing. The runtime fee is now gone. They are instead charging an earnings price based on size of the game. I'll just say what we're all thinking. Too little, too late. I said it when this news first dropped that they have now, because there was so much confusion and the fact that they couldn't even get their own story straight as to what they were doing, that no one could ever trust Unity, and that anyone who was on Unity is looking for any reason to get out of Unity. Lo and behold, wow, that was a bad idea. This all comes from current president and CEO Matt Bromberg, which I guess means that Richie Tello was kicked out of Unity at some point, and I just didn't care. Which the guy who was super greedy was named Richie, and then he Tello'd. The joke was funnier in my head. The point is, good riddance and nothing of value is lost. You know, other than the fact that Unity is actually on fire. So, you know, good on you. Someone in chat asked, wasn't Richie Tello from EA? Yes! Yes, he was. He also was infamous for stating on, I should put this gimbal away. I'm being too distracted by it. He was also famous for saying that to enhance realism, you should totally, for realsies, add a function to charge per reload in a first-person shooter as a possible monetization option. Nobody likes him. I don't know what his net worth is, but if he is rich enough to have a yacht, I'll tell you what, the yacht has him and his crew, and that's it. Someone in chat says they took a guy like that and made him CEO, and then that happened. Who's surprised? I mean, yeah. Speaking of things that are just kind of surprising, Microsoft is testing a new feature on the Xbox Series X. They are testing friend requests. What? Apparently, on the Xbox system, you did not have a simple friend system. You had no ability to send out friend requests on the entire system. That is a feature that did exist in the Xbox 360, did not exist on the Xbox One, and is now finally making a comeback on the Xbox Series. I am in complete disbelief that this is actually a feature that did not exist before. You Xbox fanboys did not have the ability to go ahead and add each other as a friend? What freaking... Are you missing features that we've had since the days of AOL Instant Messenger? We had these since the early 2000s. How, Microsoft? How do you not have a feature that you had since MSN Messenger was actually a thing people used? How is it that Microsoft is somehow further behind in modern technology than Nintendo? Let that sink in for a minute. The Xbox is only now just testing, not even implementing, testing a feature that has existed since the Nintendo DS? I can add people on my Switch, and the Switch is about as backwards a console as any of them. I just can't even. This is beyond surreal. It really, really is. I don't know what to say. Meanwhile, though, Ubisoft is in they're having problems, to say the least. Ubisoft is in a boatload of hot water. Ubisoft's investors are actively disappointed and are actively looking to get current leadership terminated from the company. Like, have you been kind of just half asleep at the wheel and just going, oh, hey, look, Ubisoft is releasing another Assassin's Creed, and they're making some very weird decisions with it. Oh, hey, they went ahead and had kind of a lackluster launch with Star Wars Outlaws, but it seems it's an okay game. So here's the news, right? Star Wars Outlaws had a very, very, very rough launch. It's a disaster. The game itself, though, after day one patches and all that, it's actually kind of in the territory of it's pretty okay. I mean, it really is. It really is in a state of it's okay. All right. That's where it's at. It's just kind of okay. Before that, the new Assassin's Creed that stars a African-American samurai, but apparently this African-American samurai is a historical figure, and they are just getting everything wrong and are actively offending Japanese historians as a result. And then on top of that, the game just doesn't look good at all. Like, just obvious things like horses moving out of sync with how fast they're actually walking. Basic things like models clipping through ladders during cutscenes, during preview trailers. Like, it looks like an actual clown show over at Ubisoft. And now the investors are actually looking to get rid of leadership. In fact, there is a public letter put out for demands from the investors to the board. They have actively looked at the following. They first off believe that Ubisoft is a great undervalued company, but it should be worth between 40 and 45 euros. Obviously, of course, this letter is coming from, the Gelmont family holdings. Wait, where is this coming from exactly? It's coming from somewhere in Europe. That much is obvious. What even is the current value of Ubisoft stock? Because I know it's been taking a tumble here in the States. 1 year ago, it was at $6 a share. Now it is down to $2.55 a share. If I go 5 years, it was $16.02 in 2019. At the peak of 2020, it was at $20 a share. It is down 84% over the last 5 years. Even in just the last year, it just has a significant drop. The proposals from the open letter demand that the company is taken private, that they are looking for a change of current management, and use the French minority law to collect enough shareholders to start a proxy fight and initiate a sale process of Ubisoft or increase shareholder value of all shareholders. I don't know if this is going to go anywhere. I really don't. I don't know what's going to happen with Ubisoft, but I'm going to be perfectly honest, okay? I personally thought that when push comes to shove, the Assassin's Creed games, despite the naysayers, I think would do fine. It'd be a decent sell. It's Assassin's Creed. It's always been kind of the, whatever. It's never been like any sort of historically accurate anything. But I thought just like, whatever. It's going to do whatever it's going to do. It would make them a profit. Star Wars Outlaw, the launch was a disaster. There's no defending that. But the game's fine now, and, give it time, and it's going to even out. They're going to make their money back on that, no problem. And it's just going to be a cautionary tale. The news and the way this stock is going, this is painting a far bleaker picture than I think anyone thought was going to happen. Like, be honest. Like, you knew Ubisoft was doing bad. But, like, I don't think anyone thought they were in, like, being gobbled up territory of bad. Like, that's how bad this is starting to look. you're in penny stock territory right now. They're in the territory where they probably could very easily be bought up. The question is, who wants them? And with the way they're being right now, the way they're just kind of not really seeming to care a whole lot of their situation, I don't know who's going to really want them. Well, this is definitely going to be one that a lot more people are going to be keeping an eye on. More than likely, we're going to hear about more layoffs from Ubisoft. Speaking of more layoffs, Microsoft laid off 650 game workers. You know, just casually. Yep, another 650 people laid off, you know, whatever. And yes, it's related to the fact that they bought up Activision Blizzard. Who's surprised? I don't know. Am I disappointed? Yeah. Am I surprised? No. Are you surprised? No. Do you wish that there was better done? Yeah. That's all there really is to it. All we can do is really look at this and go, oh, okay, well, that bites. Now, they're saying that this is staff providing corporate and supporting functions. What that means, we don't really know, but it just is what it is. All right. I should take a break, but I'm going to go ahead and just cover this next topic fairly quickly. Because despite the fact that this next topic is actually a very big topic, there's not a whole lot to say about it. Because really, not a whole lot has been said about it. Sony has announced a new console. They have announced the PlayStation 5 Pro. The PS5 Pro will launch for $699 US, feature an upgraded GPU, 2 terabytes of starting storage, upgraded I/O such as Wi-Fi 7, and it is projected to increase performance by roughly 45%. However, it is also featuring, what are they calling it? Like PSR, PlayStation Super Resolution, a new upscaling technology. So the picture is rendered at a lower resolution and then upscaled to the resolution that's actually being targeted. It's a play on FSR, a technology by AMD, which is what powers the PlayStation. So those of you who hear that, the fact that this includes a new super sampling technology, that it includes the ability to go ahead, render at a lower resolution, upgrade it, and you hear that they're counting a 45% performance increase, guess what that means? That means the GPU is not 45% better. The GPU is maybe 20% better, and the other 25% performance increase is based on strictly the new upscaling. In addition, unlike the PS5, the PS5 Pro does not include a stand. By the way, the console is awkwardly shaped. You really do need a stand for it. And it does not include a disk drive. That is sold separately too. So when I said $699, in reality, it's closer to $799. Someone in chat says, what discs? Those discs? Actually, those are my PS2 discs. I think my PS5 discs are actually in the living room with the PS5. Let me tell you something. You're getting the discs. The main reason being, it only ships with 2 terabytes. What's wild is that only 2 terabytes actually is not a lot of storage, considering the fact when these games are installed, they are close to 200 gigabytes. Modern games are massive. The thought of having everything on the SSD is not feasible. Actually having the disc is the way to go. So to say, getting the disc is obsolete on the PlayStation, no. I guarantee you, most people are getting the discs. You go out, you look at the polls, people are getting the discs. No, Sony still sells hard copies of games. They still do. They're still out there. The games may not have the whole game on there, So in the end, the thought of you can go ahead and play this long after its life cycle ends, that's a fallacy. But you will still have the benefit of buying used games. And quite frankly, considering the cost of this blasted thing, that's the smartest way to go. Now, here's my counterpoint, all right? This is a $200 upgrade from a regular PS5. There are people out there that try to say that this is justified because of inflation. Because the PS5, when the PS5 Pro, when you adjust for a PlayStation, it's not the most expensive. The PS3 is. Guess what? We mocked that too! We mocked the PS3 endlessly for being the most expensive console out there, and its sales did terrible because of its frickin' high price point. What makes you think that because the PS3 did it long ago, that it's okay for the PS5 Pro to do it now? No! I'm sorry, but this is a stupid upgrade. This, honestly, when push comes to shove, because of the fact that the $700 is a scam to begin with, because there is no disk drive, because there is no stand. The stand, honestly, is the far bigger offense, because they made this thing so awkwardly shaped. The thing cannot stand on its own without being at risk of tipping over, because every single curve on the thing is done in such a way that it has no good base. It needs this stand. Go find a I love the fact that I'm getting flack for no, I'm sorry. No, you're wrong. Go to the PlayStation 4 and find a PS5 with the drive still attached. I don't care. That is still terrible. I know you have to actually wait. No, I know what, I can actually beat you at this. You know what? No, I can actually prove the chatter wrong. I can prove this wrong. This is because I know there actually is a model of the PS5 that you can actually have the drive still attached. Oh wait, I just did. Literally first one. The PS5 Pro is a scam. It is. They are charging you $200 more to lose the disk drive, they are charging you $200 more to lose the disk drive, to go ahead and upgrade the internal GPU from a 7650 to a 7670. And the rest of it is AI upscaling. I almost guarantee it. It is not worth $200. Because when push comes to shove, right now, just about every game is not going to support the upscaling yet, because they got to go ahead and update the game to support it, which is going to take time, which means the performance is not going to be there. You're going to get the demonstrations like they tried to give during their presentation, which looked like two pictures side by side looking exactly the same, which is what we got. And then on top of that, the thing cannot stand up on its own because the stand is not included. Is the pre-order page even up? Now that I'm on the PlayStation Store, can I not even get the teaser? Like, I've sat on this. I've sat on the PS5 for a while. I said I was going to cover this quickly, and here we are, like, going back and forth on this. Like, I've sat on the PS5 Pro for a while. Like, who is this for? Like, the only options I can think of are there people who are already deep into the ecosystem and using the PlayStation Portal and wants to get better picture on that. Someone in chat says it's a FIFA and COD machine. God, if you're gonna, you know what? If people, I mean, it's kind of fitting then that the people who play FIFA and COD go ahead and pay $200 extra for what's going to end up being 20% more machine. Yeah, I'm going to stick with calling it a scam. It is hard for me to look at this and not see it as a scam. It's really not on here, is it? Honestly, that part I find wild. Oh, there it is. I'm just blind. I've just been blind this whole time. There's no pre-order page yet, though, is there? That's all it has for the vertical? Yeah. I mean, horizontal. Yeah, I got that wrong. It just has two little triangles for the horizontal mount. At least the vertical had a whole base. Yeah, my disappointment is endless for the PS5 Pro. It really, really is. When I did the breaking news episode, I did a quick build out for a console. I got close to the cost of the PS5 Pro with just a basic PC. God, I could get it so much closer too if I actually spent the time on it. I'm just beyond disappointed with this console. I really, really am. And like, it's one thing to compare it to, I can get close, but I can't. I absolutely can beat it. I 100% can beat it. I guarantee I can beat an $800 console. I know I can beat the price of a PS5 Pro and its performance. 100% I can. But the average person can't. The average person's not going to go for a PS5 Pro. The average person's not going to do this because the average person's going to look at $700 and say, I'm going to go for the one that's $200 cheaper. Which again brings back to the question I had before. This actually really became just like a giant like discussion rather than just a quick note. Because I should have just taken a break before this. Ah, well, whatever. Because the average player is just going to go ahead and just go for a PS5 Pro. Or just go for a PS5 regular. Damn, the vertical stand is sold separately there too. Sigh. The average person's going to go ahead and go for the PS5 because it's $200 cheaper. Streamers, the people who go ahead and play video games to actually earn money, whether as a hobby or professionally, they might go PS5 Pro, or they might just save the $200, go PS5 regular. Like, that's one market that might go Pro. The people who have more money than sense might go PS5 Pro just to have the prestige. But God, out of the gate, this looks like a very, very hard sell. An extremely difficult sell. In fact, I've been saying it's $200 more expensive. It's not, actually. Like, if we're going to go compare apples to apples, we shouldn't compare it to the $500 model, because that actually has the disk drive. We should compare it to the all-digital version of the PS5. Where is it? It's really $250 more expensive. Yeah, this is a hard sell. This really is a hard sell. The real disappointing thing, too, because if you compare this to the PS4, the PS4 regular started at $399. When we got to this stage of the PS4's life cycle, the regular PS4 dropped to $299. Then the Pro was available for $399. So you could get a performance bump for the same price as the PS4 started at. Like, that was a good value. Now, the base price went up $50 because the PS5 was $399. Now it starts at $450. The disc version of the PS5 somehow is still at $499, or you buy the digital version, then pay a $30 a $80 upgrade fee to swap out a panel for the one with the disc. It's going to be interesting to see how well this sells. It's going to be very interesting to see how well the PS5 Pro actually sells, because man, it is hard for me as a guy who knows how this kind of technology works and not say, wow, this is a straight up scam. Because most likely the majority of the actual performance is going to be in software, which means you're being charged $250 extra for $75 more of GPU and software and Wi-Fi 7 and 1 extra terabyte. We're going to take a break here. When we come back, we're going to have other stuff to talk about. What do we even have up here still? We've got a few more stories to talk about, mostly the odd ones. And also Deadlock having a cheating problem. Don't go anywhere. We'll be closing out the podcast after this. Oh, welcome back, Eagle Eyes on Tech. I'm Eagle Falcon. yeah, this it's just a mess. It really is. Like, this week has just been hardware reveals that the main features are software and the software is not going to be there. It's basically the end result of this. Deadlock, the new team shooter from Valve, is still only an invite-only alpha. I want you to remember that, by the way. Deadlock has not been actually released yet. It is still in invite-only alpha, despite what we all believe, because it just seems like everyone can get a hold of this thing. There are already very blatant cheaters in it. Aimbots are already widespread within the game. Good job. Good job, devs. Good job. If there's one thing to take away from Deadlock, it is that you should not let people have infinite invite your friends. Because, I mean, how else does this happen? All right, if it's an invite only alpha, you should only bring in like media, influencers, you know, people who would have an active interest in this. You know, if the game's actually in this early thing, because they're calling it alpha. I don't know if it's actually alpha or beta. Like, the game is still very much in development. Like, that's really where it's at right now, right? But of course now, because so many people have it, bad actors have their hands on it, and lo and behold, we already have cheaters. We already have people who can go ahead and manipulate data. We already have exploits. Now, not only are developers trying to still develop the game and finish it so it can actually launch, but now you have vulnerability to patch at the same time. This is a mess. This really is a mess. There's no other way to say this. This should not have happened. This should have never happened, but here we are. It is now in progress. It's happening. Good luck, Deadlock. That's all I can say about that. AMD is looking at their GPU lineup. Two things are changing. One, there are multiple rumors out saying that they are giving up on the high end. Again, if rumors are true, I'm disappointed. Two, they are looking at the next architecture of their GPUs to unite RDNA and cDNA to create a new architecture called UDNA. So let's explain this for a minute. I have talked before how there are professional GPUs and consumer GPUs, right? On the NVIDIA side of things, there really isn't much of a difference between professional and consumer GPUs other than validation methods and VRAM. Like, if I go ahead and take a Quadro card and a GeForce card and put them side by side, the big difference is the fact that the Quadro card is going to have 3 times as much VRAM on it, and the fact that every single Quadro card is validated to work flawlessly with certain professional applications. And the list is extensive. Whereas the GeForce card has validation that it can go ahead and run basics. There's almost no validation to a GeForce card. There are some. Don't go and say, Eagle said the GeForce cards have no validation, no testing, you can get a dead card. Yeah. There's some validation, but nowhere near as much as NVIDIA cards. AMD took a different approach. RDNA was the architecture that their gaming GPUs used. cDNA is an offshoot of that architecture, and it was focused less on gaming performance and more on compute. It actually was a truly different architecture. Could you still game on a cDNA card versus a RDNA card? Of course you could. You could game on a professional card. Could you still do professional applications on RDNA card? Of course you could. But the cDNA card performed much better in professional tasks, rendering tasks, that sort of thing, and the RDNA card performed better on gaming. That is going to end, and now AMD cards are just going to use one unified architecture, very similar to what NVIDIA does. So that's honestly for the best, for the most part, considering the fact that professional tasks really aren't getting much more complicated or aren't really changing a whole lot compared to their, there's not much of a difference between a gaming task and a professional task is what I'm getting at when push comes to shove. The difference is narrowing more and more and more. This change makes a whole lot of sense. Waymo and Uber are bringing robo-taxis to Austin, Texas and Atlanta. Someone in chat asked, so cards will sell out to miners or AI companies? Well, no one's going to sell to crypto miners right now because crypto mining is unprofitable at this time. But yeah, they AMD desperately wants to sell to AI companies because right now NVIDIA has a complete monopoly on it. A complete monopoly on AI cards. The architecture GPU is not going to change, but the amount of memory you need on an AI card versus a gaming card is wildly different. So there's still going to be AI specific cards and gaming specific cards. So it's not like there's going to be a new GPU short. Don't go out and buy new GPUs expecting a shortage. There's not going to be a shortage. There is, however, going to be a price hike. And it's definitely going to be a case of, yep. Yep. Cards are more expensive. You gotta, when you build out your PC, ponder what's going to be good enough rather than what's hilarious overkill. But yeah, new robo-taxis coming to Austin and Atlanta from Waymo and Uber. So now Austin and Atlanta can enjoy parking lots of robo-taxis honking at each other at 3 a.m. Yay. Honestly, I have no idea. I mean, outside of like the anomaly stories of just like robo-taxi caught fire or robo-taxis were honking at each other at 3 a.m., I actually don't know how well these robo-taxis actually perform. The fact that they're expanding, I'd have to assume they're expanding relatively well, but it's just so easy to make fun of robo-taxis. It just kind of is. But I can't speak for their performance because I live in a town that major tech companies want to ignore. Huawei believes that you are made of money and that you want to buy a $3,000 folding phone that has 3 folds. I'm not gonna lie. This phone looks awful. I would not pay. What do they want? $2,800 for this folding phone? I don't even know what the specs are. Like, this thing unfolds to like, what does it unfold to? A full 10.2 inches. And then the thinness of this phone is insane. This looks like a phone that when it's completely unfolded, I could snap in two. On top of that, because it's all a flexible display, that means that your fingernails can easily puncture, or not puncture it, but can easily put dents into it that are not recoverable. In addition, there is no, unlike the Samsung folding phone and the Google folding phone, there is no glass external screen that is easily protected. So that if something happens to the internal phone, at least, okay, fine, I use the phone closed forever and it's still basically a phone that's fine until I can afford to replace the internal screen. Here, the folding screen is all of the screen, whether it's closed or not. This Huawei Mate XT, granted, we can't even get it in the States here anyway because there's a ban on Huawei phones. Yeah, 3.6 millimeters thick when unfolded. This just screams being a nightmare. That's, ugh. I feel like I could snap that in half. I also feel like I could snap the Lego McLaren in half. The 342,817 piece McLaren P1 races at the Silverstone circuit with a top speed of 40 miles an hour. And yeah, this is actually a Lego McLaren with, I believe, an electric motor in it that tops out at 40 miles an hour. Honestly, it's just kind of cool. Like, this is stupid. This is dumb. But it's kind of stupid and dumb in a really cool sort of way, you know? I mean, come on. Even though it's only 40 miles an hour, wouldn't you want to go racing in a Lego car? Just once, mind you. Although, God, imagine when it crashes. Someone in chat says, you know you'd drive it if it were street legal. I would not. I would not. Oh my God. First off, I need to take the highway. So I would need to go 70, 75 miles an hour. Second, the thing is porous as heck. Could you imagine the wind noise that this thing would generate? Just imagine that for a minute. This thing's gonna sound like an angry flute on the track. It's silly. It's very, very silly. I also want to imagine, what would it look like if this thing crashed? Would it be like a Lego video game and there's just like Lego pieces that just fly off? Like, hopefully the driver will be fine, right? Like, that's the first concern if there's a crash. There's just a lot of questions I'd have, and none of them are good questions. No matter how I look at it, it's very silly. In a more serious news, though, we have to turn our eyes to Japan. Not too long ago, there was a nuclear disaster. I'm assuming a lot of you have heard of Fukushima. Tidal wave came in, shut down a nuclear plant, flooded out its backup generators. The reactor then had a critical meltdown and contaminated the area. It was a disaster. There's no other way to say it. It was a disaster. The thing is that the cleanup is still going on to this day. And when you have a meltdown like that, the actual radiation material melts into something called corium, which is basically just radioactive magma, a mix of the metal that housed the nuclear material, concrete that was around it that then melted, and the radioactive fuel itself. No one can get near it without fear of death. It is that radioactive. So there has been a new development in this. They have built a single robot to begin removing the melted fuel, the corium, from the ruins of the factory, and that this robot will be doing it for over 100 years. Ladies and gentlemen, Japan has actually made WALL-E. And then as I say that, someone in chat says it as well. Like, first off, it's good that this cleanup is happening, obviously. I'm not going to go ahead and be the weirdo that says, boo, cleanup, yay, radioactive contamination. That'd be a weird stance to take. Who would take that stance? Yeah, it's good that the cleanup's happening, obviously. I just find it kind of funny that the solution that has been invented literally is WALL-E. Someone in chat asked, remove it and then what? Well, the corium would then be put into most likely radioactive waste containment vessels and be held there until the material fully decays. I don't know, like, I'm not a nuclear engineer. I don't know what the half-life is of whatever the fuel. What would the fuel be? Would it be uranium? Or would it be something else? I actually don't know what the fuel is. Do they actually even say what the fuel is? Like, I know the actual, like, melted fuel is called corium. I think they just take the smart way out and just call it highly radioactive melted fuel. I don't even think they call it corium. Is it actually uranium? It's not plutonium or something like that? Plutonium is not just for bombs. I know plutonium is not just for bombs. I also know that cobalt-60 is also something that's used in nuclear vessels as well. I think the thing here is that cleanup is still going, and now we have literally made WALL-E in real life to do it. I think we need to just get off the topic because none of us know. Or, you know, feel free to email me, and then I can go research it and then prove you wrong. I just assume if I get any statement in my emails regarding the podcast, that it's just 99% of the time, it's someone being wrong. Because that's so far what it seems to be. Regardless, though, ladies and gentlemen, I give you the last bird, the last story. They did the weirdest story of the week. I want to go ahead and state the following. Fashion is weird. Whatever you learn from today's episode, you should at least learn fashion is weird. There are pre-muddied jeans that are worth hundreds of dollars, ugly sweaters worth hundreds to thousands. You throw a red stripe on something and write the word Supreme on it, it's worth thousands. Fashion makes no sense. It doesn't. If you think fashion is a logical world, you are a silly. Which brings us to this story. A researcher scientist is trying to make a new fashion trend, making purses out of old GPUs. I am dead serious. Because there's one thing you thought about an old GPU is, ooh, I could make that into a handbag. And here's the thing, they're not cheap. They're available at gpupurses.com and start at $1,000. Each 100 purse for $65,000. What? All right, here's what I have to ask. How many of these have sold? Because my first instinct is that there's no way any of these have actually sold. That there's no one dumb enough to pay $1,000 for a purse that contains a dead GPU. But holy smokes, if there's one thing I know about the fashion world, it is never, ever, ever, ever underestimate how much people are willing to pay for overpriced nonsense in the world of fashion. Folks, that is going to do it for this episode of Eagle Eyes on Tech. Thank you so much for listening, and I do encourage you to check out my other works, youtube.com/EagleFalcon and twitch.tv/EagleFalcon. Take care, and I hope you have a great day. Bye-bye. I think the real problem here is the fact that it's all NVIDIA cards. I'm just saying, look, you want to talk about beautiful PCBs? Old school AMD cards. Now that had some good looking cards. None of this like, oh, look at that, a blue PCB with an ugly single fin. Oh, no. Those suckers had black PCBs. Interesting blower styled ones. Even in some cases, multiple GPUs on the card. I'm just saying, if we're going to go ahead and make interesting handbags, those are the kind of things you go for. Or, you know, maybe not include the cooling fan on it. Because I'm not going to lie, the color of this Gigabyte fan on this purse is, you know what? No, never mind. I thought I could salvage this idea. No, this idea is terrible. Nope, I lied. Nope. Just burn it all to the ground.